Does anybody know what Christianity is? I know, yeah, there's a lot of answers on that, isn't there? What I want to do is suggest that it is, even though it's sold as the religion that it is basically in form. When you look at the effect of it, it is basically the same thing as idol worshiping. And there's a reason that is, and there's a point in time where that happened. I want to examine that in this video. Yeah, we got problems with Christianity. It's all over the place. My name is Dan Paulson. Let's get started. What I'm going to do is look at this just objectively from our own mindsets. We don't need to pull in somebody else's data or say, here's what we believe because so-and-so says this or so-and-so believes that. We're going to look at it in a different way. We're going to use our own mental reasoning. Okay, all religions split. They divide. They do. But nothing split and divide like Christianity. Why is that? There's one point in time where I see the issue came into play, and that is, and I'm not going to go look it up. We just know this. We're going to look through it all. There's a point in time where in Paul's letters, the idea is that if you believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, was born to a virgin, lived and, ministered to the world, died on the cross to save you from your sins and rose, and you accept him in your heart as your personal Lord and Savior, you're going to go to heaven. That was sufficient. Of course, that caused a lot of issues. I think the Protestant Reformation sort of emerges out of that, where there's this idea that, do we have rules or not? Do we just believe, or is there some way we're supposed to conduct ourselves? And if so, how is that? Well, Christianity became something where if you look at it, you can see people that might be incredibly pious and other people who just look like it's like they're a half a step away from being violent criminals. They're just not in jail yet. They haven't done what they're about to yet. And they're all marching under the banner of Christianity and using Christianity to live by. And in some cases, you look at it and go, well, that's okay if you're using Christianity to live by the way you're living. Then you watch somebody else and go, you're using the same religion? Then you look at what the requirements are, despite the fact that within Christianity itself, there's no shortage of Christians telling you we're doing it right, they're all wrong. I'm going to tell you straight up from the outside. All you have to do is believe in Jesus. You're all right. You can follow Jesus' teachings, but you don't have to. Paul allowed a circumvention of that in the Catholic Church, in the development of the church. It stopped turning inward, turned outward, turned it to a higher being, and allowed the church to take over for your salvation. Meanwhile, you become very unaware. So what happens then, instead of people being told, you must go to the Sermon on the Mount, Sermon on the Plain, learn those and learn to live those. Do what Jesus teaches. One thing that's conspicuously absent from the Bible in the New Testament is anything from Jesus in my red letter edition saying something to the effect of, if you don't want to do these instructions, then just worship me and I got this. That doesn't appear. Not until Paul puts something in does that show up. So now we have people all over the place that are Christians because they're doing exactly what the church tells them to do, but they're not doing what Jesus tells them to do. So what happens if idol worship is what? You're putting up an idol and you're giving it things. You're hoping it has, you're trying to invoke something by having an idol up. It's not a real God. You're inventing a God and creating an image of it and leaving food and doing things like that. It's called a false god by who? Abrahamics. Who then what? Invoke an invisible one and start doing really the same thing, giving burnt offerings and whatnot. What's the difference? It's not carved in stone. It's up in the sky. So to me, as I look at it, it's that diversity in values that really troubles me. As I look at that and I think of that and you start thinking of a lot of implications, there's a lot that emerges. I've mentioned to people before that there's that disparity of all those different denominations. Some, of course, dismiss that that's the case, but it's It's factual. It's there. It's registered. You can deny it and try to make up excuses for it, but it's there. It branches out incredibly. And Christians from all around the world believe in different value systems. What I've been told, though, by some people is that that doesn't matter, that the only thing that matters is that the belief in God, which tells me then that that God is not concerned with what kind of values I have, but is concerned with whether or not I believe in it, which makes me question the validity of that God and what that God's motives are if it truly exists. If it's more concerned with me worshiping it than helping my fellow humans that need help, then yeah, that doesn't ring very true for me. If that God only wants that and will accept everybody that believes, regardless of their value systems, then heaven is going to be like earth. Where's the heaven in that? This actually squares right up with Pascal's Wager. And the Pascal's Wager just basically stipulates the idea that it's probably better to believe in God than not, just in case. Of course, Pascal is only talking about Christianity and the God of Abraham under the Christian banner. So that's the only place it would fit. It's better to believe than not to believe. If you were in another religion, you couldn't say that. You'd say you can become this kind of a person. You join this religion, you have to change and become this kind of a thing. In Christianity, all you have to do is accept and bingo, you're in. So the value systems, and of course, people will argue that they must abide by value systems. I don't know what to say. Those are weak value systems. If the Bible has turned your life around, you're one of a very few people. And I'll tell you what, that the world is a lot more full of people who have turned their life around without the Bible than other means. People, whatever helps. But to say it's a God is something that's fine. But if we bring in all the data points, that's generally not the case. And there's a lot of people who find ways to turn their lives around and get help without there being some sort of supernatural intervention. That person just thinks that's what it is. They still did all the things necessary and had all this stuff happen and made the right choices along the way. So if somebody wants to claim it's from a higher source, that's okay. But I can look around and see that other people are doing it without a higher source. And if that higher source is helping them, then that higher source doesn't care that they believe in it or not. You can see that. What is Christianity? What's idol worship? Okay, so I can imagine if you're worshiping an idol back 3,000, 4,000 years ago, actually, way back when. And why are you doing that? Society's emerging. You're looking for answers. You're looking for sources. You're trying to invoke something. You're trying stuff. And sometimes in a cry out moment, something happens and people go, oh, that must have caused that to happen. These things grow and they develop, and the whole crowd getting together, working, emergent. We feel that connection that we have, that emotional connection that we have. We begin to sense and feel all those things that were evolutionary qualities that helped us evolve, our sense of fear and our sense of our shared emotional sense that is just in kind of that collective psyche area. Okay, so as we're living, we're looking for a better life, we're emerging, we want more things, we see more stuff, and we're trying to invoke somehow the power of this being. We're worshiping something that we don't know what's there. Abrahamics dispel that and then say there is no real, those are all false gods. The real God is invisible up in the all, and you must give the offerings through altars and burnt offerings. So they really haven't changed it very much. They've simply said that those that you can see are false gods and that the ones that you can't see is the real God, this one that we can sense and feel when we're in a crowd and working together. The Bible is framed in templates, so there's a reason for them to be the way they are. That's not what this video is about, though. The problem here, as we get downstream then, is we get into Christianity, and now what we've done is we've taken away the idol, and we've even taken away the God and turned it into worshiping Jesus, the Son of God. And you cannot see Jesus, the Son of God. We're not burning anything anymore or whatnot, but all we do is worship. It's morphed into all you do is accept and worship Jesus. And that does not come from any Jesus teachings. Not at all. That comes from Paul's teachings, who people will say, Paul talked to Jesus. Phew, yeah, come on. You can step back and look and see that there's something bigger going on, and that in all of the values that I see in Christianity, I can imagine I wouldn't even want to be with a God in a heaven that didn't look any different than what life looks like right now. A God who just wanted my life to be about worshiping, that doesn't care how I am with other people. There's going to be, you know what, people born in heaven, are they going to be born there? Guess what? We're born a certain way. There's going to be gay people in heaven. What are you going to do? God might not let you open carry or conceal carry. Guns might not be legal. What is the matter with people? They don't think. Yeah, to me, a God to hang out with would be one that goes, hey, buddy, I don't want you to worship me. I'll help you help other people. You do the right thing. The right thing isn't worshiping me. The right thing is help eliminate some hurt. Now, there's a God. That's what most of this religion is supposed to be along the lines of and about. Not this morphing into God justifies my hatred and anger and judgment of you. The material is not being used right anymore now. Instead of me living into the Bible's teachings, I put up yellow posters of the 10 Commandments, which is supposed to mean that I'm living through the Bible's teachings. Yeah, right. Draconian third world stuff. From people who stoned their wives on their father's doorsteps if they were not virgins on their wedding nights, didn't allow crippled men at the altar, etc. That's where this comes from. Christians got any problem with those? Why not? It's God's rules too. I think cause and effect is showing that the fruits from somebody's garden are coming from trees that come from seeds of that same nature. It's in Genesis. Okay. Jesus' work repeats it downhill in different verbiage. Judge not, lest ye be judged, for the judgment with which you judge unto others will be likewise unto you. The same thing. It's a cause and effect issue. And that isn't about the physical world. It's about the spiritual, the inner world. The judgments that we hold continue to emerge. And when they do, they're visible and everybody can see them. We lash out at people with the very thing we don't want them to see, not knowing that in doing so, that reveals it. And of course, I'm not talking about stepping in and stopping injustice. I'm talking about stepping in and creating your own form of justice that is unreasonable. Yeah, that is selfish, that is based in one's own fears. Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, worshiping Jesus is like worshiping an idol. You're not following values. You can follow. That's the difference. There are values there, and there are Christians who will follow. It's like, yes, I believe in the Sermon on the Mount. God, yeah, I try to study what Jesus tells me. And again, Jesus never said, just worship me and I got this. That was Paul, who talked to Jesus and then created the church and invited everybody and said, you can just worship. Yeah, now that, okay, anyway. Okay, that's it. Do you see what I'm talking about? What is Christianity? It's a mess. It's an absolute mess. I don't see it as a value system, as a common value system that is used in society because of that one issue that Paul put in. If he had said it is incredibly crucial that you follow Jesus' teachings, Christianity would not be as popular, and it wouldn't be so diverse. Yeah, he gave permission to ignore those. And Christians do. And they don't interpret them. They're not plain language. Okay, well, yeah, Christianity is, it's a value to people who have fear and want to have some comfort in life. Yeah, go for it. But for those who are using it to circumvent responsibility for your own shame, we see what's going on. All right, everyone. Hope the video was interesting. I'll see you in the next one.